Yep.
Ooh, welcome to the Stanley Street.
Do that again.
Welcome to the Stanley Street Social Podcast, brought to you by MAP. Today, we're just going to be recapping the Giro, and then maybe a little bit of Tour de Yorkshire, which was on
Apparently
through the week, which we didn't know. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Just a quick one on a bit of MAP apparel. It's starting to get proper cold. Do they do some sort of hoodie number? Because I wouldn't mind running a hoodie right now.
Yeah, and just a little bit of background. This room is freezing, and we've turned the heater off because there was a little bit of background noise. So yeah,
could be a good little option to get into. Ollie. So we'll start with the Giro. Started in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts, queries, and or concerns? Luke Parker calling.
Thanks.
Sorry, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Thoughts, queries, concerns on an Israel depart?
The prologue. Oh, it was a time trial.
It was a time trial, yeah.
9K or something, but who cares? It was pretty cool, but a long way to go for what it was. And then the two road stages after it didn't do a whole lot for me. They were pretty Abu Dhabi-esque. And yeah, and then looking at the rest day on day 4 or day 4 of the tour, it wasn't really for me.
Mess, really.
Yeah, and just imagine being one of those teams and having to get stuff all the way over there for a few days racing and TT kits. You got TT kit, road kit, and then get it all the way back to Italy 4 days into the tour.
Scenario.
That's horrible. You'd want the spreadsheets laminated and looking pretty crisp. I'll give you the hot tip.
I'm sure all the teams had a laminator for admin.
Yeah.
So the Gara, the race itself, before the race even started, one C. Froome dropped himself in the recce.
I think there was 3
There was
people.
a handful of blokes, yeah.
Bahrain rider didn't even get to the start. It was pretty hectic.
I'm not sure if you saw the clip, but Froome went down like
I haven't seen him
potatoes.
Crash. No.
Just went down pretty hard, which probably affected his result. It was pretty poor.
100%.
In the end, he was, I don't know what he was down, but 20, 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah, and
to do Milan.
It's just like the build-up. He was getting grilled about his doping allegations in the press conference, then binned it in the the practice run. Like, it's nightmare scenario.
It's not a good start. But it was the showdown that we all expected. Tom Dumoulin and Rowan Dennis. Dumoulin was the last rider to go and just beat Rowan. He had a long
2 seconds
day.
In it.
Yeah, he had a long day in the hot seat, but I think it just goes to show that Tommy D has come here and he's going to give it a real red hot crack in defending.
And it would be interesting to see how these two go. Very similar styles. See if they can muscle their way over, just diesel up a few climbs.
Yeah, I mean, Dumoulin's a little bit nicer to watch than Dennis. Dennis is a little bit more muscly and bull-like.
It's pretty raw.
I like watching it. And there was a few surprises. I think Simon Yates, he was 7th, losing not that much time on it was a lumpy course, but it wasn't like a climber's TT, if you will.
No, there was definitely a few little pinches in it, but yeah, full credit. But he's been pretty good the first 4 days of the tour. Yatesy up in the mixer.
And Pozzovivo and Carlos Betancourt were 10th and 11th in a time trial.
Only 28 seconds off the pace. It's not
big
bad.
Surprises
Not
there.
bad.
The big losers, of course, we talked about Froome, Aru and M.A. Lopez also lost some big time. So not a good start for those guys, but it's a long
tour ahead.
Race. Just a little bit of admin, I guess you could say, on the stage. Ryan Mullen tweeted something about
how's that admin?
I don't know, something that isn't racing.
Yeah, go.
Just a bit of work on the side.
Go. Sorry.
Ryan Mullen tweeted something about his legs blowing up.
Yeah,
and apologising to the local council or something. And then there was a handful of people on the Twitter calling him out, saying that it was somewhat offensive to use the word exploded due to their geographical location of where the race was. It's just like, good God, like what sort of world are we living in where people are getting pulled up for that sort of caper?
This was always going to come, though, with starting the race there. There was always going to be some kind of risk around this political nonsense that's been... But, yeah.
I mean, there was only a handful of people that pulled him up, but just, guys, the Twitter police, Jesus. But it's frustrating.
As you know, Campbell, you do everything right, no one will say anything. You do one thing wrong, Allah, put an extra 2 in there, you get shredded.
You get chopped up.
Yeah, so...
yeah.
Got to do what you got to do.
Exactly.
They're out there for a reason.
Yeah. Stage 2, it was Viviani who took the chocolates. Clearly the quickest sprinter here. It was a little bit...
Bennett's there also, but apart from that, there's probably tier 2 sprinters.
There's tier 2 sprinters in your Majetskos or whatever his name is, and Modelos and Bonifacio. Just these tier 2 sprinters that if they weren't Italian, they wouldn't be here. There's just that many... such a lack of sprints that you're not going to come as a sprinter.
You only have to look at the profile. If you missed it, we did a recap of all the stages, and it is just relentless. There's hardly a sprint stage in it.
But Viviani did take his chance. He was kind of flying solo. He had some teams.
He was definitely he was surfing the wheels. His teammates were up the front, and you could tell they were a little bit concerned as to where he was, and he was hardly in the picture, and then just blew everyone's doors off.
Just backed himself in, and I think he followed Majetsko. He hit out early down the left, and then he was just too quick. But, there's been a little bit of talk about, should have they gone to Israel, this, that, and the other. But the one thing is for sure that the crowds at the finish on that stage were out of control. I'm not sure if you saw the footage.
All days the crowds were obviously not in the middle of the desert, but around the finish and start lines was pretty impressive.
And stage 3, it was a 229 kilometre stage. Just looking at my notes. Don't remember the lengths off the top of my head, but
I love a good 5+ or a day.
Well, it should have been a lot longer really, but they averaged 45 kilometres an hour through the desert. And I'm not sure if you saw the last 15 or 20k, they were doing 80k an hour on the flat. They had this ripping tailie. And you looked at the back, and some of the boys probably didn't put the 55 on, and they were just
they were spinning the ring off on the front. It was like, what?
So it was all done in 5 hours, which isn't that long, really. 2:29.
It was pretty boring.
It was pretty boring, but Quick Step were good in the final. Schachman and...
But again, Viviani got a little bit lost. He wasn't sitting fourth wheel pretty. He had to kind of do a little bit of work to get to the front. And then we saw Bennett hit out first and hit out on the left and finish on the right.
I was actually surprised he didn't get DQ'd. He's gone that far from left to right. Almost put Viviani into the fence.
Viviani had to use his shoulder. There wasn't a clear run for him, and full credit though.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty lucky not to go down, but it's good to see Viviani sort of pay off his teammates because they were actually good. Besides the last K, that run in, there was a lot of roundabouts and it was a little bit tricky. So yeah, he's clearly the fastest bloke here. And then they would have had an absolutely filthy transfer day.
Bit of domestic travel in the middle. They're not exactly flying private back to Italy.
Oh, yuck. You just, as a rider, rest day, flying from Israel to Italy after 3 days of racing, it's not what you want.
Not for me.
Not for yours.
And that's just the worst, the worst possible scenario.
Last night, we actually watched the last 40 or 50k this afternoon.
As Josh described it in the tour takeout, which if you've missed them, been running it hot every morning. So make sure you check that out for a quick summary of what happened last night. He said it's the cliche of hardly a bit of flat road all day. It was just very Italian, very hard. 3,000 meters of climbing
and the rest.
And there was only a couple of Cat 2s in it. But geez, it was good. Just the race in Italy, the tour of Italy in Italy finally, and just it was.
Wouldn't you love to be there, waking up, having a brew, going for a piadina? We're here in Melbourne though, alas.
The sun's out, the crowds are 10 deep. Sit down for a bit of pasta at lunchtime, go to the finish, do a podcast after, and then shack up for a pizza and a bit of vino afterwards. If anyone wants to ship us over the Giro, we'll happily take up your offer.
We're here in the cold, dark living room of Stanley
It is
Street
so
Social.
dark. This room doesn't see sunlight till October.
It's starting to get a bit grim already, and it's only May. But anyway, the stage, it was pretty routine, I guess, up into the last 20k when things started to heat up a little bit.
Pretty hectic coming into the final. There was lots of little pinchy climbs, and yeah, it was a good viewing. But just the Italian fields, just a tough day on the bike, and looked pretty stressful coming into the final there.
It wasn't really too. We saw, I think it was Valerio Conti. He attacked on the sort of penultimate climb of the day with a Williers.
The Williers team, yeah.
Dropped him and then sort of pushed on solo and made a...
He got out to 24 seconds.
Made
and
a
looked
good
like
run of it.
He kind of caught the bunch at a good time, and there's a bit of hesitation around. There was a bit of uncertainty around who was responsible to chase because, well, there's Rowan in pink, but really he wasn't up for the stage win. And yeah, he got a good little gap on the bunch.
And it wasn't till Lotto they sort of took it up with Adam Hansen doing his 50th Grand Tour in a row.
Yeah, 65th,
today. 20 odd.
Circa 100, yeah.
And then Tosh van der Sar, whatever his name, he really pushed it on.
But from 5k to go, it was pretty hectic. Like left, right, they were running through the town, which was pretty narrow. And
what did the commentator say on Eurosport? More twists and turns in a bag full of vipers.
Yeah.
And he wasn't wrong.
No, he wasn't
He
wrong.
was filthy.
It was left, right, narrow roads and through little towns.
And was it Sharkshman who went ploughing into the crowd?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
I hope everyone's...
yeah.
We were watching it.
The
first five come through and we're like, oh, God. Then the chopper view, someone's gone ploughing into the crowd.
You were saying, oh, God, though, heading into every corner. It was like, but Lotto did a very good job. And we saw maybe 2 or 3 turns to go, a little split off the front, and then Hagee took up the pace. To his credit, he put himself in the right position. He had Chavez a couple of wheels back. Yates not too far from him. Mitchelton Scott did a very good job heading into that final finish. He was pretty good from line. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of created a little bit of a split. Sammy Bennett found himself in that split. Probably just it's a bit too hard for S. Bennett, but full credit to Hagee. He had a crash. Did he crash in the prologue or in the time trial?
He
crashed
crashed in the prologue.
Well, it's good to see him coming good again. And yeah, the guy that we've been talking about a fair bit on this potty the last few weeks, Michael Woods running a second, but yeah, it was Tim Wellens that was too good on a bit of a filthy, proper Italian finish. Would have been a good one for Rob Power, 2015.
Yeah, would have been a good one for Rob Power. Just something filthy to hit out at the bottom. And it was just his long uphill drag. But yeah, Wellens had the sit in those front 4 with Hagee doing the job and Chavez and Bennett.
No, it was Yates. Chavez was in the group.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Chavez and then Yates was in the group and came across.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No, pretty sure it was
No,
Yates.
I'm definitely right. Anyway... And then Michael Woods came across from the group, which we're a pretty big fan of Michael Woods.
We love. So Tim Wellens, we talked about at the start in our preview that stage win minimum was their objective. He's ticked that off.
For Lotto Fix All.
The
new name. New kit, which is good, I rate it.
You're a fan of the kit.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's been a bit of talk on the socials, not many people liking it, but
I like it.
You like it, and that's all that matters. Do you think he can do a top 5, a top 10 in the general?
I think he can do a top 10. For me, I reckon he'll float around that 7th, 8th, 9th posse. Just lose a bit of time on those big days. Just be in that
second group every day on the big climbing days. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I'd like to see him do a really good GC, but maybe another stage win. It's probably going to be more up his alley. And Michael Woods show that he's in good shape. Let's hope for a podium for Michael Woods. Big fan of Michael Woods here at the Social Club.
Found out today on his Twitter that he ran a sub 4 mile.
Yeah, he's 31.
Yeah.
He's not young. He's not a spring chicken. He's sort of come to cycling relatively late, but he's doing a good job. What's tonight? What's the tapper tonight?
We've got 153 Ks, category 4 climbs. Much of what we had last night, just hard day, but nothing significant on the climbing front. And Josh put in his unpack here. It's for the uphill sprinters.
The Diego Ulysses sort of types.
That kind of.
Maybe an Enrico Battaglin. I think he was third last night. Okay. Just another filthy Italian.
Yeah, Italian day. Italians will come out to play for sure.
And then the night after, it's Etna.
Yeah. We're on.
Do you think Dennis will hold on Etna?
Yes.
You do?
Yes. I think it'll be like early enough in the tour that he can just diesel his way up the climb and hang on with Pink on his shoulders. He'll have a team around him. He'll be able to tonk along with those 60 kilogram climbers and hang on to it for that day. You?
I think so. Yeah, I think the motivation will be good. He's obviously in pretty good shape, and yeah, I think he's going to keep it for a little bit longer. The votes, Albie, from the first 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, do you want to run us through?
Yeah,
We've been hitting them on Twitter if you want to check them out day by day.
So stage 1, Simon Yates, 5 votes, top 10 in a time trial. Massive performance for mine. Domenico Posavivo in the same boat picked up 4. Tom Dumoulin winning the stage as expected, but still to do the business. He's picked up the 3. Rowan Dennis 2, and Carlos Betancourt.
This was a hard one for the one. We had no idea who
yeah.
to.
I mean, Gonzalez was there. Pello Bilbao was there. We've gone for Betancourt. Stage 2, Rowan Dennis picked up the 5 for taking the bull by the horns and taking the pink jersey. Viviani 4, Margetsko 3rd for doing something outside of Asia. Boy Von was in the break. He picked up the 2 votes, and Gibbons from Team Dimension Data. He won the General of Langkawi last year, and then does a top 10 in a gallop. I think he's quite quick as well. If you look at his pro cycling stats, he's got a lot of top 10s in these sort of gallops. Stage 3, Viviani 5 votes for winning the stage. Schachman 4 votes. He was super in the run-in. Boy Von 3 for being in the breakaway for a second day in a row. Barbin.
It's going to be a long Giro ahead for him.
Barbin 2 for simply just being there and picking up the KOM. And Steve he was also good in the finale for Elia Viviani, so he picked up the 1. And then last night there was a lot of talk this afternoon. Who's going to pick up the votes?
Have we got that initial list we had?
Yeah, there's a few notables there that did miss out. Jack Haig, he missed out on votes.
I gave him the 2 votes. You cut him loose.
I did. I just thought he probably didn't deserve him. He was a notable.
He's that guy that kicked 10 goals but didn't get a start in the best.
He was in the notables, as was Michael Woods. But yeah, the votes last night. Tim Wellens 5. He was super. He was that good. Tosh van der Sar, his teammate in that technical finale. He was super.
Of a turn.
He was super. He picks up 4. Valerio Conci took the bull by the horns. 3 votes for mine. Where was he for you? He was there. 3 votes as well. Sam Bennett for just being there. 2 votes, I think.
Being in the mixer.
Being there.
If he didn't have that uphill drag, would have had his name written all over it.
Yeah, if the Tour de France was flat, Mark Cavendish would win.
Yeah, it's also true.
And Rowan Dennis, 1 vote for keeping the pink jersey on a pretty punchy sort of finish. So they're the votes. Keep up to those on the Twitter.
If you don't agree, reply to the Twitter. Let us know.
The criteria is there as well. We might repost the criteria. It's not all results based. It's, taking the bull by the horns, having a crack.
Going from long range.
Those sort of bits and pieces. So what else has been happening in the week? Apparently, Tour of Yorkshire was on. Saw some bits and pieces, but didn't see any footage. Saw some photos.
Some good crowds. But yeah, GVA won, apparently. That's literally it.
Michael Storer was 5th on the general.
Yeah, it's good to see him. Starting to progress.
He is. He's
young
a really
boy. He's a young boy.
Is he 96?
Yeah.
96?
Yeah. Strong as an oxo, my God. And yeah, obviously showing he's settling in to the professional ranks not too bad. But apart from that, it's all really been Giro. It's pretty hard to run a bike race and get much media exposure when the Giro starts at the same time. So That's about it for me.
Yep, I reckon that'll probably pull us up. We'll definitely be doing another unpack. We're going to do it on Monday night, just on a rest day. We're going to do it on Monday, just go on, but there was only a few stages in Israel to talk about, so we'll be back here on Monday night. And until then, keep up to date with the tour takes on our page. Joshy's doing heaps of good work there, staying up till 2:00 every night. So thanks, Josh, for doing that. And thanks again to Matt. Hopefully you guys can work on some hoodie designs. And we'll see you back at the social club.
Sweet. Oh, have we any questions? Oh, we do. You still running? No, I'm not. What questions we got? Probably talking to our Insta Live.
Yeah. Forgot it was on. How good. Lloyd Parker wants a preview of the Ararat Junior Tour.
Thanks, Luke.
Killed it.